Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered if we're truly alone? What if those lights aren't just stars, but visitors from another world? Welcome back to Beyond the Hub podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Brandon. Today, we're embarking on a journey through some of the most compelling UFO sightings in history. So buckle up as we dive into the mysteries that stretch from Roswell to the latest government disclosures.
Join us as we launch into our three-part series on alien encounters. All right, let's kick things off with the granddaddy of all UFO stories, the Roswell incident. Back in 1947, something crashed in the New Mexico desert. And it wasn't long before rumors of recovered alien bodies and a massive government cover-up began to swirl. Brandon, how do you think the UFO incident shaped public perceptions of UFOs?
I think it was huge, like absolutely huge. Roswell specifically, it practically birthed the modern UFO phenomenon. Like before Roswell, there was occasional reports, but after, it opened up the floodgates. People started seeing UFOs everywhere, all over the country, even the world. And the government's contradictory statements absolutely did not help. It just fueled the conspiracy theories, which I love.
Do you think, like, when you know, it's kind of like the Grand Theft Auto theory, like when you see a car and then you'll only see that car for the rest of the game, but it's like physically made into that game because based on that.
Wait, that's actually programmed into the game?
Yeah, so like if you get a car, then you only see that car. Otherwise, you'll be searching for that car forever. Why can't I find that car? And then until you see that car, and then every other car is like that.
And it's programmed because it's like, oh, you picked that car?
Yeah.
That makes more likely.
That's real life.
Well, I think it's interesting too because I've had that phenomena happen to me personally. Like whenever I bought a new vehicle. When I was, let's just say 20, I think it was around 21 years old. I bought a Ford Fiesta. Never heard of the car. And I wasn't like huge into cars, but I was fairly knowledgeable. I knew a lot about, the different types of cars. Like my favorite car was a Camaro, the 2012 one, because Bumblebee Transformers, I was super into it. But
not because of Megan Fox?
No, I just like that Camaro, the 2010, 2012 Camaro, like that was a hot car. I liked it. And so I bought a Ford Fiesta. Never heard of it, never seen him on the road. And then for the next 5 years, I drove that car everywhere. Ford Fiestas were everywhere. And, part of the, younger me was like, I'm special. I got a car nobody else got. Fiesta, nobody knows what this is. I say it to people and I'm like, what the heck is that? Well, they were everywhere. I just didn't see them because I wasn't paying attention looking out for those cars specifically. Same thing happened when I bought my Honda Civic. I buy my Honda Civic SI and I'm like, why does everybody have an SI?
And I think that's the reason why, like, that's a good analogy for that. Like, all these things are, maybe there were UFOs like everywhere before it crashed, they were all hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
Like they were around you all the time, those Ford Fiestas, but until you got one yourself, you weren't looking for it.
Yeah,
but they were there.
It's a psychological phenomenon. That's what it
there.
breaks down to. Like they were there the whole time, and my brain wasn't picking them up.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
And actually, the initial military press release even stated that they recovered a flying disc. Now we're talking about the Roswell case again, only to retract it and claim it was a weather balloon.
Of course,
it was a weather balloon. So what really happened in Roswell? What happened in Roswell? Was it a secret military experiment gone wrong, or did extraterrestrial visitors actually crash land on Earth, or was it Roger Smith?
Well, I mean, I like how they tied that into American.
He was like, oh yeah, I crashed down in Roswell in 47. I'm glad you finally brought that up.
I think that was awesome. That's a pretty cool, like, what is it called when they flashback? No, I don't know. I can't think of the term for it when they're referencing something like in the real world in a fictional TV show.
I'm not
callback.
Sure. Callback. Yeah.
I think it's called a callback. I think that's I like when they do that. It's cool because it like grounds it in into reality ish. Like it makes it more relatable. That's what I'm going
Yes.
for.
What do you think, though? Was Roswell a case of government misinformation or proof of extraterrestrial life? Drop your theories in the comments.
Me personally, I think it's both. I think it breaks down to it was potentially proof of extraterrestrial or extra dimensional life, but also the government was covering it up. So I think that they don't want. Oh man, I'm gonna get into this theory. I think a little bit later in this episode, or maybe tomorrow's. But I think they're working together and it's intentional. And I'll explain the links that I've connected, like the dots I've connected. But I don't think now's the time. I just think that Roswell situation itself was both government misinformation, maybe misdirection, maybe not straight up misinformation, but also in order for that to be true, for them to be misleading us, they're misleading us from something that is the truth, and the truth is maybe there really was some extraterrestrial / extra dimensional life on that crashed craft. I highly doubt it's a weather balloon because everything unexplained. This is a gross overstatement. I'm not literally everything, but a lot of the time, the government will say, "Oh, it was just a weather balloon." Well, it's convenient every time it's a weather balloon. You know, I'm speaking with a little bit of exaggeration saying every time, but it's a lot. Even like just within the last 2 years, the Chinese weather balloons going across the nation, and nobody in the military across the entire country did anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's just a weather balloon. Is it? I don't know. I'm not saying that was a UFO, but I don't think that's just a weather balloon.
Normally they would shoot anything down.
Yeah. It's convenient that they didn't.
Now let's fast forward to some other famous sightings that have captured the public's eye. Remember the Phoenix lights of 1997? Thousands of people reported a massive V-shaped formation of lights hovering above Phoenix, Arizona.
Right. The Phoenix lights. It's one of the most documented mass sightings, where even the governor of Arizona at the time, Fife Symington, he later admitted he saw the lights and believed that they were otherworldly. It's hard to dismiss that something witnessed by so many people is not really true or didn't really happen. And including in those people were very credible sources.
I mean, and then there's the 2004 USS Nimitz encounter, often referred to as the Tic-Tac UFO incident. Navy pilots chased a white oval object that performed maneuvers defying the laws of physics. The Pentagon eventually confirmed the authenticity of the videos, admitting they couldn't explain the phenomena. And Brandon, what's your take on these new modern sightings?
I think that they're pretty fascinating. Like, they're specifically, these modern ones are involving trained military personnel, and they're using sophisticated radar systems and technology that our military has nowadays, as far as we're allowed to know as the public. And it's not just people just seeing things, it's documented by this advanced technology. And the Tic-Tac UFO in particular shows movements that our current understanding of physics can't explain. It's quite fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Have you ever witnessed something unexplainable in the sky? Like, just freezes you in place? Like, everybody watching, share us your stories in the comments. Maybe we have some listeners who've had their own encounters. What about you, though? I know you have a video of something you've seen.
The video, that's a more recent one. I've had this one incident that followed a separate encounter, but this was like, it looked like something out of Star Wars.
Oh.
This was back in, I forget which house. This is I'm not going to tell you my house. This was my dad's house at the time. And I was home alone, and we had these bay windows kind of in where our kitchen was. So I'm in my living room. I get up to get something to drink, and it was nighttime. And I noticed something blinking outside, outside.
Distance?
Yeah, and behind our house, it's all trees. It's all the woods back there. But then past that, it's back to another street and more of that, more woods. But I noticed this something right outside and this blinking. So I literally walked outside and we had the back door there into the backyard. And I'm looking at this thing up in the sky and I'm talking like the size of a football field. And it's about, I would like 100 to 150 feet above the ground.
Wow.
And this thing is low and I'm visually seeing this thing. It was like a triangle, but it was like this, and then it connected more.
Can you show the camera like if you were looking at it from the bottom?
It was like this, and then but it was just like long, and
so like one of the Imperial starships,
smaller than that, but that kind of shape.
The shape.
And it had these blue and orange blinking lights from it. But here's the thing, not a sound. There wasn't a sound.
Did it get strangely quiet?
Yes.
Like on top of there, not the thing you're seeing not emitting noise, but did it also like everything around you, like all the birds stopped chirping, all the frogs stopped croaking? Like
there was that's funny you say that because I was going to bring that up. There was literally nothing, and I'm so weirded out that no one else saw this thing. But then I told this story to someone else, and maybe they said maybe no one else could see this.
That's a good point.
Which blew my mind even more. But as I was watching this thing, and it was going slow. It was going like, if it was a plane, I could see going that slow at that height, but it was I can see this thing right there, and it's going that slow, and then it just disappeared over the trees.
Did it disappear right before your eyes, or it just went out of your field of view because of the trees blocking it? So you couldn't tell if it just vanished.
Yeah,
but it traveled.
I couldn't see it anymore.
It didn't make any noise. Nope. Did you see any that's pretty low for an object or a vehicle, whatever it was. It's a UFO, unidentified flying object. For whatever that was, it was pretty low. Did you see it have an influence on the trees? Like, did you see like wind moving it or something like that? Like
I was so hyper fixed on this, and that's the thing too. Like when it was happening, I had this old, I think they're like a flip video camera. It was like those tiny little, like has like the little LCD screen, square screen on it. And I was gonna run in and grab it, but I couldn't move. Like I had walked outside and I just like my mouth was open but I was thinking about that, like I need to get something. No one's gonna believe me. No one's gonna believe me.
Also simultaneously didn't want to leave.
Yes.
And miss seeing the entire experience.
Because I was witnessing something that was beyond my comprehension.
Yeah, quite beyond the hub.
Beyond the hub.
If you think about it, with the technology we have today, that's commonly accessible to everybody, if they can afford it. The cell phones with cameras built in, able to take pictures and videos. I think that as time goes, we're more likely to capture things. Not because of the advancements in the video capture technology. Maybe it's capturing at a different frequency than... Maybe that's why you could see it and other people couldn't, if that's the case, right? Maybe you were tuned into that frequency to be able to see it. So maybe these cameras can pick up something that other older cameras couldn't. And on top of that, it's more accessible because I don't know anybody that doesn't have their phone in their pocket all day. Or if it's not in your pocket, you're resting somewhere, you have it on the charger near you. Like, it's within an earshot, so you can grab it if it goes off. So I think the likelihood of catching evidence of this just goes up.
He said back then it was like 2008 or 2009 back then.
Yeah. I remember the cameras back then, they weren't that great. Even, you could have a handheld camcorder or something, and it's not that big, but 8 megapixel zoom? It was like as crazy as it got back then or something like that.
I'd have to see when the flip video camera came out. That will give me like an exact...
Oh, it was actually called the flip video camera?
I think so, yeah. It was like kind of reminded me of like not a Nintendo DS, but like just like a Nintendo, like a Game Boy.
A Game Boy SP?
Kind of thing. But it was really cool.
I feel like my sisters might have had one of those. It's like just scratching the surface of my brain with a memory, and I can't really grasp the full memory.
I've had another one that I had a more recent encounter. That's on our YouTube page. That was more. Everyone was kind of saying Starlink satellites, but I'm not convinced that it was Starlink satellites, and a lot of people weren't either. So it was kind of like mixed, but you'll have to watch the video.
There's always going to be contentious debates about the existence of UFOs, basically anything within the field that we discuss on our show, anything within the realm of paranormal, supernatural, otherworldly, people are always going to fall on one side of the fence or the other. I have never met, maybe they exist, but I have never met anybody while investigating this field of the topics that we talk about here that is on the fence, that they're like, well, you know, I see a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and no, not because of this. It's either they're all in or they're all out, and most of the time people fall within a single camp. Like the Bigfoot people are all about Bigfoot, and everything else they don't care about. They're not necessarily saying they don't exist, but they don't even care because they're all about Bigfoot. And the same thing about people in the UFO community. Like Roswell incident sparked a whole celebratory festival that they have yearly. Don't they have yearly around the anniversary of the Roswell incident, where the entire town is all like UFO decked out, and they have exhibits, they have stores selling merchandise, tourism goes up the roof because of that. So those people there most likely are gonna not really even consider, because they're so obsessed with the particular topic of aliens or extraterrestrials or extra dimensional beings, that they just, everything else, I don't care.
Have you seen any UFOs? Or
I have seen an unidentified flying object. It was actually not too long ago. I didn't record it. I was driving in my car, and it was in an area where it's pretty, I'd say it's like medium lit. It's not pitch black, but it's not like in the middle of a city with street lights everywhere, street lamps. And as I'm going down a pretty straight stretch, I see like in the distance, very low to the right above the tree line, like the top of trees, maybe 40, 50 feet above it, not too far, there's a very bright blue light. And the weird thing about this light is that I couldn't tell, like it didn't have a specific shape. It was kind of like a star twinkle or something like that. Like it wasn't a perfect sphere, but it also wasn't like you couldn't tell if it, I couldn't tell if it was from a vehicle of some sort. Like I couldn't tell if it was a disc or a metallic orb or a sphere, nothing. It was just a light. So I saw this strange light that was significantly sized for where it was located in relation to the ground, and it was steady. It wasn't pulsating or anything like that, and it was like blue but more leaning towards the white side, like a blue-white kind of light. It wasn't like dark crystal-y blue like a sapphire. It was more like a blue leaning towards white, and it moved very slowly over the tree line towards my car as I was driving. Not like it was coming for me, but it came towards my car and then went towards my right as I'm driving towards it, and went higher and then just zipped off. Like it sped up as it came towards me and then flew off into the distance, and then it just disappeared right before my eyes. It didn't like go over a tree line or anything where I couldn't see it anymore. It just shoot, and it's gone. And it didn't make any sounds. And the strangest thing about this was there was no light emanating from it, as if it was a source of light shining on other things around it. Like it's as if it was a source of light, maybe it was a vehicle creating this light, with this field around it, an invisible energy field, we'll just say, that prevents light from escaping this field other than seeing the source itself. It wasn't shining on the treetops, it wasn't shining on the ground, there was no, it was weird. It was really weird. And I'm not going to say that it was a piloted craft. Maybe it was something spiritual instead of technological. Like, I have no idea what it was.
Alien drone? Hence
the UFO. Maybe it could have been an alien drone. I have no idea. I just know I saw this light. I went home. I told my wife, I saw a UFO. And she's like, yeah, I don't doubt it. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's not as exciting since I'm not making stuff up. Like, well, okay, that's it. And then I saved it to share on the show with you guys.
Here we go. Share your own stories with us. We're not afraid to tell them. Let's talk about the role of the government in these sightings now. For decades, governments around the world have been accused of hiding the truth about UFOs. What?
Impossible.
Did you know about this?
Impossible.
But in recent years, we've seen sort of a shift, which is interesting. The Pentagon released several videos showing unidentified aerial phenomena, is what they call it now, and even established a task force to study them, in which, if you're familiar with Dr. Travis Taylor from the show The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, who was secretly the chief scientist on this task force.
I think that's pretty wild. The connection there, especially. And these disclosures, they're giving legitimacy to something that was once dismissed as fringe or conspiracy theory. Although, I still personally, I have my doubts. The Pentagon's 2021 report on UAPs, I hate the term, unidentified aerial phenomena, they acknowledge that many sightings remain unexplained, and some might represent advanced technology from foreign adversaries that we're unaware of, but they did not rule out the possibility of other origins, be it extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional. Now, I personally think that even though they're disclosing information to us, I think that they're disclosing what they deem necessary to keep the people who are asking for this disclosure to shut up. They're just trying to shut people up. I think that's what they're doing. I don't think they're disclosing the truth. I don't think they're disclosing the whole truth. Maybe just little smidgens of truth, so people will be like, look, see, they said something. Oh, now we know. That's all it is.
Or when they release a new military craft and it's been around for 50 years secretly, but now they're like, oh, look at this. Look at this new. Yeah, brand new from the 60s.
No, I think that they absolutely have technology that the public isn't aware of, and I think they absolutely have information and knowledge on these extraterrestrial or I keep saying extra dimensional because that's where I believe, and there's a section of the community that believes extra dimensional rather than extraterrestrial, but I could be wrong. They could be extraterrestrial. But I think that they know something. They have information. They may be in contact. I think they are in contact. Yeah, let's carry on.
But it's an exciting time for UFO enthusiasts and researchers. With each new piece of information, we're getting closer to solving this mystery. But what are we really looking at here? I mean, are these sightings evidence of advanced technology, natural phenomena we don't yet understand, or visitors from other worlds and or dimensions?
I think it's all of the above.
Yeah.
I think it's all of the above, and it's likely to be all of the above, and that's what's going to keep people so confused, because we can't really narrow it down to one. And I think having it this way is intentional by the government, so that they can release something and throw us off the trail of what the real truth is.
Absolutely.
I think it could all of this could be true. It could be technology that the public isn't aware of yet, that our government is in possession of. It could be technology that the public isn't aware of, that other governments are employing or deploying or using. It could be completely unrelated, otherworldly, extra dimensional. It could be all of them in each different instance. Man, it's really hard to really narrow it down. All we have is our personal experiences.
Exactly.
All we have is what we see and what we experience to really know what we form our own personal view on this about.
But what do you think the government... do you think the government knows about things about UFOs that we don't?
Yeah.
And do you believe in the cover-up theory, or think it's all just misidentified natural phenomena? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments, too.
Now, I'm going to go off on a crazy limb here, and I'm going to try to connect some dots for you folks that I've connected, which leads me to believe the things I believe. So I think that the government is in consistent and constant communication with whatever these entities are, wherever the origins are, whether it's extra-dimensional or extraterrestrial. I believe that the government is working with them or allowing these extraterrestrials, these extra entities, I'm just going to call them extra entities from here on. I think that they are allowing them to perform to do things that they want to do. Like, let's say the government says, oh, you want to do stuff here? Sure. Give us X, which I don't know what X is. It could be access to a new technology. It could be a new element that we have yet to discover on this on the planet or in space or something. Maybe they have access to something like that. Okay, and we'll let you do Y. And Y being, you can do 100 cattle mutilations this year. You can do, 50 UFO abductions this year. And we allow, you to take these people. Now, I also think that, personally, I think that these beings, and I'm going to connect the dots a little bit further in tomorrow's episode, but I think that these beings are, this goes deep. I think that fallen angels from the Bible came down to earth, and as the Bible described, and even it's described in the book of Enoch, they bore children unto the the women of men, the children of men. So they reproduced with humans, making the Nephilim. I believe that the Nephilim, it goes down in generations too. The Nephilim started, fallen angels and Nephilim started doing things with animals and making where these mixed abominations of part person, part human, part animal, where you get like a centaur, where you get maybe a dog-headed man, a man's body with a dog head, stuff like that. I mean, it's even listed in mythology all around the world, in Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology especially. So I believe that these entities existed, and some may exist in some form or another within whatever other dimension that they exist in. Last week we talked about time and dimensions, and how the third dimension is what we physically experience here, and the fourth dimension could be above that, and maybe that's where these entities reside. It's also described in the Bible that angels, whether they're fallen or not, can take on the form of whatever they please. They can take on the form of a human, and you can't tell that they're an angel. They could take on the form of an animal. They can take on the form of a mixed hybrid animal human thing. They can present themselves as whatever they want. So with that being said, I think that the extraterrestrials or extra dimensional aliens, quotes, I think that they are not exactly one and the same, but heavily related to the Nephilim and the fallen angels, where they are, if you were to acknowledge the Bible, if you were going to operate in life accepting the Bible as truth, you don't have to agree with me or not. I'm just saying this is where I get my theory from. The fallen angels are working along Satan to get an agenda done, and the agenda is to steal, kill, and destroy, broadly speaking. But they're also trying to poison the well of the human genome, the human DNA, and that's why they're doing this hybrid stuff. And what do aliens commonly do, not just in Hollywood, but in lots of people's experiences? They are taking people and sexually doing things with them. Mm-hmm. They are taking people and doing experiments where they are harvesting their blood or their reproductive material, and they're trying to create hybrids. I actually listened to this interview of this gentleman who's talking about, actually two interviews. There's one with a woman and one with a gentleman. The gentleman was talking about ancient cryptid wars. That's a little bit different. But the woman was talking about how the aliens, which might be equated to Nephilim / fallen angels, are trying to make a hybrid being with humans and animals to make a slightly off from the 100% you're a real true human husk that they can, because these, when the great flood happened, the Nephilim were all killed and their spirits are doomed to roam the earth for all of eternity or something like that, that they can inhabit these husks that they're trying to make a human hybrid thing with. I'm going off on crazy tangents here. Yeah. Trying to connect some dots and get you guys to think, to see why I think that the government is working with these entities, and they're keeping things secret because they don't want the truth to come out, because it would go against the entities' plans. If things came out, there'd be a massive uproar. There'd be people would be going crazy. If this is confirmed to be true, people are like, absolutely, then what the heck? This is all real? Like, what the heck? So I think that's why the government is very hush-hush about this stuff.
I don't even think some people would believe it anyway, even if you threw the truth right in their face.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, yeah. I believe that's called cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Or it branches off from cognitive dissonance, where you're like unable to grasp the reality of something, even though it's right there. But yeah, I might have done a really shitty job at explaining why I think things are linked.
I thought it was good.
But there's a lot of, I would need like a specific episode for like an hour long to connect all these dots and source where I'm getting the information from, so you guys can see that I'm not just making stuff up and this is what I would love to believe. I don't want to believe anything more than what I've learned to be the truth. If something I believe is proven false, I disregard it and let it go, because I'm not holding on to what I believe to be the truth because it makes me feel good. I don't care if the truth makes me feel like shit or makes me feel good. I want the truth. That's what I'm looking for. So even if I don't agree with my human concept of morality with what the truth is, I don't care. If it's the truth, it's the truth. There's no point in arguing or fighting about it for me, or trying to resist it if it's the truth. So that's what I'm on the search for, and that's why I think things are linked. I think that Nephilim, the product of fallen angels and humanity, are there's a lot of debate in the theological world when the biblical scholars, people disagree on if demons are spirits of the Nephilim or if demons are the fallen angels themselves. There's disagreements on the other gods mentioned in the Bible that people were worshiping over history being the fallen angels. There's debates on if that was the case or not. There's debates on men of renown in the Bible being giants. I mean, it's not debated if a giant was in the Bible. There was David and Goliath. Goliath was a giant, but people take the mysticism and the mind-blowingness out of it, and they try to make it dumbed down and like boring, when it's really a magical book that describes magical things that people are like, how, like, you try to grasp certain things happening, and it's really hard to grasp these things if we're operating under the current worldview that we have today, with science disproving all of this stuff from ever being possible. Maybe we just haven't cracked that code of figuring out and proving this stuff for ourselves. Maybe we're being spared from it. Maybe the people that back then weren't. I really don't have the answers to this. I'm just trying to connect the dots and figure out why similar stories in different realms of the paranormal and supernatural world have similarities to them. Like, you got aliens and sleep paralysis stories. Some alien abductions are sleep paralysis. We might get into that next episode, right? Mm-hmm. Some alien abductions involve sleep paralysis, some don't. Some astral projection experiences and lucid dreaming experiences involve sleep paralysis, some don't. So if that's a common link between them, how are they related? That's what I'm trying to find. Sorry for that really long.
What was that one
monologue
theory that we talked about, or I think I brought up to you about we were talking about the fallen angels to Earth, and then the all the asteroids or all the craters on Earth
are the impacts of
the fallen angels?
Yeah.
And if so, could we not go to those craters and try to mathematically formulate where exactly they came from?
We could definitely do that, but that's if we're accepting that's what they're from. Like,
if that's where they're from. If not, like,
yeah. But also, like, if they existed outside of time and space with God, let's say angels, and all the angels existed with God outside of time and space, let's say they're in that realm, then they would have to break through whatever wall is separating that realm or dimension with our physical realm and dimension. However they're breaking through that wall, maybe it would appear to an observer on Earth that they're literally just coming out of nowhere in the sky, and then just
it'd also be hard to formulate that with the Earth rotating. But what if, like, how the Earth rotates, like they were all coming from the same point? if we could figure that out too.
And they landed somewhere else with that. But they'd be coming throughout the whole day because the Earth makes one rotation. Rotation, yeah. It makes one rotation. It revolves around the sun. And then it makes one rotation itself on its axis a day. That's what a day is. Mm-hmm. So it would take a whole day in our time, according to how humans perceive things, for them to fall. Maybe it was all instantaneous for them because they're outside of time and space. And throughout the span of a day, that's why they landed in different places. That could be. That makes sense.
I don't know. We're going on too much of a tangent, but which I love. And we also want to hear everyone else's theories too.
Yeah.
But for today, we're going to call that a wrap on the deep dive into UFO sightings. It feels like we've literally just scratched the surface on this mystery.
Absolutely. I think we really just have. Just scratched the surface. But guess what? Next time, we're going to get even more personal. We'll be talking about alien abductions. Ooh. You know, those terrifying encounters that people swear by, and the psychological perspectives behind them.
It's going to be a wild ride, so make sure you join us. Your theories and comments fuel our discussions. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, click that little bell, and share your thoughts below.
And of course, as always, the exploration continues. We cannot wait to have you back for even more revelations. And don't miss out, episode 2 airs tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be epic, trust me. And if you're new here, check out our previous series where we attempt to unravel other mysteries, especially last week's where we talk about time travel and the such. Link will be in the description. Stay curious and keep seeking the truth.
Until next time, this is Beyond the Hub podcast, where the realms of the paranormal and conspiracies collide, and the truth is waiting to be unveiled. We'll see you soon.
The truth.